These are the latter days.
Travis Wingetsell. Well, yeah, I had to have the fan back. If you watched yesterday, it was 55 degrees at one point, so there's no need to keep the fan going. However, it got too hot during the day, and thus caused the need for the return of the fan. Alrighty, so a little side distraction here before we get into the faith-destroying topic of the day. The channels that I watch the most, which are every single day, are my channels, right? I do videos every day. My channels are the ones I watch every day. So YouTube would recommend my channels, right? Right? See, when I'm not signed in, they already know my IP address, so they know exactly which ones to show, right? So I should be all over the recommended, right? Wrong. The number one position, SNL's Happy Thanksgiving from SNL. They aren't going to have a show tomorrow. In case you were wondering, I only watch this once a week. Once a week. And this is the top recommendation? And then second, Diana Ross, great singer. I have gone to her channel to listen to songs once in a blue moon. And then CNN's interview of Bill Maher. Rarely. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Yeah, I go to him daily, but not as much as my channel. ABC4 Utah. Yeah, I try to catch up. They really don't post videos of any value. They love to advertise The Masturbator with a family news show, The Masturbator. But again, I have been slow to catch up. I did the news video last week, was it? And then here's one. I don't understand why it's not the number one poll position instead of SNL. Aladdin, Speechless, Scene Complete, Naomi Scott. You know why that should be number one? If not mine? You've not been watching my videos lately, as you guys gave up and said, I'm bored of her. You didn't learn anything. And then Real Time with Bill Maher. Well, his show's over with now. Why are you still showing him? I don't see Trevor Noah. Where's him? And then some guy that I've never checked out who's telling you to take an autistic test so you can screw the government out of fraudulent money. What the hell is wrong with YouTube? Many things. So, it looks like you guys are sleeping in this morning. Yesterday on TWG, Mormon Latter Days Grand Priesthood Council at Adam-on-Diamond is up to 22 views in 18 hours. So that's normal, as we're still struggling to catch up for the sequels with exposing the temple. And the topic today is going to make me wonder if you guys really are past feeling, that you're so hard-hearted that you are past feeling. Do you know what that means? You do know what that means, right? It means you are ripe for destruction. It's in the scripture. But the original one, Mormons Speechless, is at 50 views. It still brings me to tears. I cannot watch that song that is the only one legitimately on my recommendation list. She just had a brilliant performance. And so Travis Wayne did so. Apparently, last days on the main search had 0, but it's 17 when I click on my channel in the video section. Mormon Latter Days Grand Priesthood Council at Adam-on-Diamond is at 17. So yeah, that's high. But did you guys pay attention to the thumbnail? I already did the video somewhere where I could be ignoring the consequences, which 7, where I went over that I specifically choose and select what goes on the thumbnails. I make them. I have the technology. I have the capability of making the first Steve Austin. I should get to watching that show. I'm getting close to finishing up with Buck Rogers, so I'll then need to find another one to watch. I have the Bionic Woman and the reboot, so lots to do with the end of the world. But did you notice that there's a sign in the heavens? In the upper right-hand corner. Did you notice? That has to do with today's topic. That I'm teasing you, that I'm dragging this out. Oh yeah, we'll show you, Travis. We'll just skip ahead. Yeah, but you won't know where to skip ahead. That'll teach you. And you'll notice also that there's Irene's check in Jesus' hand as he's getting robbed by Nelson. Will a man rob God? Yet ye have robbed me in tithes. Why are you paying tithing on allowance money, Irene? And thus the rest of them. Dum 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 dum. So yeah, there's something behind it. Someone is behind you. I can't remember that song, but it all of a sudden popped up into my head. Okay, so object lesson time. Back when I was in the younger singles ward, the younger singles, the females, told me to stick to my own kind. Human? You're not human? Are you what's called plastique? I've never met a real plastique before. I only heard about them when I was in high school. Yes, they were mean girls. Mormons. Being born and bred for hard-hearted past feeling. And there was one woman who served a mission. And so if you think that she went on her mission at 19 years of age, you're pulling an anachronism. It was still 21 back then. And so at least 23. I think she was in her 30s, or close to 30s, because I think I was in my 30s, about ready to be cast out. So actually late 20, no, let's see. Yeah, it would have been late 20s, because I would have been about to be cast out. And so it was soon after I was divorced. I didn't last long there. When Candy finally dropped me off at the older singles ward so that she can be taken home by another guy. Yeah, her name was Candy. And she tried to say, yeah, the song, and she gave the wrong song. I was thinking of another song with Candy. There's several. But talking with this returned missionary, I started, testifying about the Book of Mormon and how true it is, because that's what you do as a Mormon male to attract a female mate. Can you imagine a documentary on this? The mating habits of the Mormons. Here we see the male of the species quoting from the Book of Mormon. Notice how the female oh my god, that would be hilarious. Oh, there we go, I've lost it. I have to stop this and start it again. Oh my goodness. Breathe. Maybe Disney can do it as a documentary. Speechless playing in the background. Oh my god. Breathe. Woosah. Oh my goodness, that was classic. Like I said, I need to go through my stuff and pull out the gems. But I'm getting close to 4 terabytes. Woosah. It's not over 4 terabytes. We'll see. Anyway. And I thought that, this would impress her. And she interrupts as I'm going over faith from Alma chapter 32. and breaks down and cries. Oops, that didn't work. I literally broke her using the Book of Mormon, talking about faith. This is why I keep warning you guys. Pull out. Only you can do it. And so, yeah, she had believed this before I knew that that's what Mormons were doing. Because again, I grew up in Southern California. I didn't have Mormon peers to trap me in a traditional faith cycle of spiritual witness. I had to learn Mormonism on my own. And so with my school education, which is going to be necessary for what we will again bring up, as I brought up in yesterday's Adam on Diamond thing, and I went over it with you live. I saw it for the first time, you saw it with me for the first time, you saw my reaction to seeing it for the first time, and there we are. It was in the video. I even put it in the beginning of the video, as I will try to remember to put it in the beginning of this one too. But I made the mistake back then of not following up with her. See, now you guys, when I break you finally with one of my videos, you have other videos to go to. I have a few anomalies who get broken, they get pissed, they cancel their subscription, and then I'll see them join up again some months later. Only one of those people have actually told me that this is what they do. Hilarious. And so, I warned you guys. There will be something that threatens your faith and will break you if you don't resist and harden your heart. That's what the truth does. And as a result, she came back a month later. I hadn't seen her at church. She just disappeared. And she came to me all excited and happy. Yeah, I pondered over it and decided that my faith, my will is true. She had hardened herself back into her original incorrect thinking process. And so, as much as she thought that was a good thing, oops, lost one. So, if this didn't break you yesterday, I don't think there's any hope for you. We'll try it again. This is in your student manuals. If you have your student manual still, if you know that you can Google search and find the PDF version that you can download or at least read online, it's still there. The church still publishes it. It's section 116 on the Grand Council Last Days Commentary. Remember yesterday's topic? I went over this with you. I didn't realize that this was in here until I went over it with you. And here it is. Under Notes and Commentary. Doctrine and Covenants 116.1. What is the purpose of the council at which Adam will preside? Is it Adam who presides? This Jesus does not preside. Adam is greater than Jesus? If you're unfamiliar with policy procedures for sacrament meetings, it's always the bishop who presides, even though he'll have one of the counselors who conduct. That's different than presiding. The highest ranking authority in the church who is in attendance is the presider. So, when the stake president comes to visit, he sits up on the stand, and it is known to the ward that he's presiding, or at least they're supposed to notify the ward that he's presiding over the bishop. And so, yeah, are you sure it's Adam who's greater than Jesus? And if you're unfamiliar with my other videos and you're going, oh, is this one of those things that my faith will be destroyed? I'm going through a faith crisis, Travis? Yes. Have you not read your first vision? In yesterday's video, I go over, seriously, Mormons? You're going to think that we're not supposed to be Presbyterian, Methodist, or Baptist, but it's okay to be evangelical. Seriously? Is that what you got from the first vision? That it's okay to be a Christian church? As long as it's not Presbyterian, Methodist, or Baptist. Oh my God. And so what do you think the first creed of creeds for Christianity was? And so yeah, if you're still believing in Jesus as a real boy, not apocalyptic literature prophesying of the last days, you're stuck in that faith cycle, and you're going to have a faith crisis unless you harden your heart. So, Elder Joseph Fielding Smith. Notice they put elder. Notice they didn't put junior. Because here's a conundrum for you, Mormons. If you do not accept what he is saying here because he's an elder, not the president, if you do not accept what he is about to say that I'm about to quote and refer again to you, then it was on the it was during my run when I was thinking of this. Come on. Yeah, it has to do with keys. Crap. Didn't write it down because I was running. It's a catch-22. I can't think of it right now. Okay, hold on. I'll hopefully try to remember it when I go over this. Elder Joseph Fielding Smith. Oh, yeah. If as a prophet of God, because he is still a prophet, he's one of the 12. If his words are nothing, only the president of the church has the authority to give new doctrine and information. So that you then dismiss what I am about to read to you, quote to you. I lost it. I should have written it down. Oh, there it is. It's the appointment to Adam on Diamond. Got it out there. Don't need to write it down. He's also the same source from this same book, Way to Perfection. I went over it with you. I even found the 70, who I thought was the original source at one point in time, but now I realize, oh, he got it from this book, Way to Perfection. You know, the racist book. I went over with you yesterday. Had the picture that I was able to save of his racism. Prophet of God, Jesus, racist. Did they just turn it off in 1978? No. That's not how it works. You don't turn off racism. We all know, because we're told to do it, that you have to restore the damage you caused. Church hasn't even bothered to even try to restore the damage they've caused to blacks. Just allowing them to pay you money so they can go to the temple, which is supposed to be free. Yeah, that's not restoring the damage. Keeping the segregated black ward in downtown Salt Lake, the Genesis group? Yeah, no, still not restoring the damage. They have no interest in restoring the damage. They will take away the priesthood again from blacks. There's my prophecy because of this quote. And so, if you do not accept and believe this quote from a prophet of God, Jesus, then you have to reject that there will be an exodus and thus an appointment, a secret, sacred mission to Adam-on-Diamond to prepare for the Adam-on-Diamond priesthood meeting. You have to deny that too. My book's coming this weekend, hopefully, we'll see. The post office was closed yesterday, and they apparently are not coming in early to work today. If you're going to deny this, you have to deny the other. But in denying the other, it means that this is actually true. Thus the catch-22, a legitimate one. And I didn't trap you with it. He did. Elder Joseph Fielding Smith trapped all Mormons with this one statement. It's like in Labyrinth. She gets to the two doors and she has to figure out the riddle. Something about the other one lies. So then she has to figure out which door is the correct door so that she can get to the center of the labyrinth to tell David Bowie, you have no power over me. Speechless. So here it is. Speaking of the council at Adam-on-Diamond, at that time, there will be a transfer of authority from the usurper and impostor Lucifer. Lucifer has the keys of authority right now? Whoa. To the rightful king. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the great and abominable Church of Lucifer. If you do not accept that, you do not accept that there's going to be an exodus to Missouri, even though Joseph Smith told us it's not Missouri, as we all assumed. It's in southern Illinois. And if you don't believe that, in order to justify not believing in Lucifer being in charge of the church, then you deny that there's going to be an Adam-on-Diamond priesthood meeting and Jesus getting the keys, and because that can't be true either. You can't pick and choose what to believe from a prophet of God. He's either a true prophet or he's a false prophet. And he's the source for both. There was no one else, not even Joseph. See, Joseph, he says, there will be a man like Moses who comes out of the great and abominable church who will restore my church that I founded. Do you need more proof of that? Have you not been paying attention to my videos? Or are you still in shock because your faith has just been blown? Section 103, verse 16. But I spent all the time to first find this. It's Exodus chapter 12. And this has to do with the latter days. Because I've gone over with you over and 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 over. Deuteronomy 18 is where Nephi, not Moroni, comes to Joseph, and it's not real. Nobody showed up to Joseph in the middle of the night as a thief in the night on the 22nd. You never thanked me. I postponed that and you never thanked me. Did a whole month thing just to try to save your lives, and you never thanked me. Joseph Smith is quoted Deuteronomy 18 through Acts chapter 3, verse 22 and 23, is it? He says he quoted exactly from Acts, but then he goes and says cut off. That's not the word Acts uses. And there's a reason. Because there's something that was coming for the latter days. And I went over with you over and 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 over. And it is my number one video of all time on Travis Wayne Goodsell. It's getting close to 39,000. To do with the latter-day Exodus, which, yeah, I hadn't found the Joseph Smith paper from 19 July 1840 yet. So yes, I was fooled too into thinking we're going back to Missouri. But the sign in the heavens was correct. 2017 is the start of the latter days. That's the star date given in Scripture. It's all over the place. Everybody knew it. We're the ones who are left out of that knowledge because of the great and abominable church. And the end of the latter days is 2024. Thus, the last day is 8 April 2024, according to the star date. And so, yeah, let's go over that part, I guess, before we get to the event that is supposed to happen between those two dates during the latter days. In fact, smack dab in the middle, when Remember the checklist you're supposed to be keeping as you're seeking for the true Christ of Mormons, not supernatural Jesus? There is no such thing as non-existent matter. If you believe in Jesus, you believe in non-existent matter. Oh, but he's physical. He defies the laws of physics. He's not real. Go back and read your first vision again. And so, the Book of Mormon, Moroni says, I will meet you at the judgment bar at the last day. And the Book of Mormon will testify against you. Why? Because the Book of Mormon is all about the last days. They will happen. And if you refuse to believe, you've hardened your heart so that you can keep the cycle going, it's going to condemn you. I told you, I've got the video that I haven't gotten to yet. I've gone over it the whole time. The Book of Mormon destroys the church. The church cannot defend themselves against the Book of Mormon. And yet that's the book they publish throughout all the world to lure people in. The book that they are using to convert is the book that is destroying them and will finish them off for good. Isn't that awesome? Church is so not true. So the parable of the 10 virgins. The wedding supper of the Lamb? The bridegroom? When is that? I already told you. The last day. 8 April 2024. There's that weekend. See, the Great and Abominable Church already is preparing because they are planning on conquering. They don't believe that the prophecies will come to pass. I mean, Nelson pulled the same conundrum. Is it the latter days? Well, if it's the latter days, you denied the signs in the heavens of the latter days, and therefore you don't believe in the latter days. Which is it? Oh, and they both say you're a false prophet. Nelson's a false prophet. False Christ. Check for the latter day checklist. 3 Nephi, chapter 11, verse 8. Is it Jesus? No. So what's going on in 3 Nephi, chapter 11? Oh, there's a sign of the death? Oh, Samuel Elamanite talked about? The name of God talked about? As Jesus, who is believed to be God, comes out of space, defying the laws of physics. Not real. Sign in the heavens. Remember the thumbnail? The little sign in the heavens in the corner? Yeah. Revelation 19, 11 and 17. Star date. And so, temple at Bountiful? Oh, that's a latter-day Zion temple. He will suddenly come to his temple. It's not built, is it? How long does it take to build a temple? Yeah, we're sort of out of time. No temple. So what does that mean? Yeah, we're headed for an entire waste at his coming. Entire destruction of the people. Just like the Book of Mormon warned us about. And so, yes, the marriage supper of the Lamb. And so here's the marriage supper of the Lamb, where it originates from. Exodus chapter 12. Then Moses called for the elders of Israel and said unto them, Draw out and take you a lamb according to your families, and kill the Passover. Passover? Passover what? And ye shall take a bunch of hyssop, and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the 2 side posts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning. This never happened, guys. Moses is a composite character of actual historical characters from the 18th dynasty of Egypt, the David-Moses dynasty. This is the kingdom that needs to be restored of David. The sun at noonday, the Ammon priesthood, Melchizedek. And here they're talking about the lamb and a feast for Passover. And it's for the whole house of Israel. The elders of Israel, not the elders of the Jews of the tribe of Judah. Why is it that Jews are the only ones celebrating this? Why is it that the Jews are the only ones remembering that, hey, wow, this is going to happen in the latter days? Because Deuteronomy, Moses says there's going to be a man like him. The Torah is not a historical book. It's apocalyptic literature as a type and shadow of the latter day man like Moses. And then there's Samson. Didn't happen. It's apocalyptic literature about the last days. The deaths of the lion, his wife, and him. Oh, he dies? The lamb dies? Jesus dies? It's the sign in the heavens from Revelation 19, 11 and 17. Eclipses are for death and collapse of the structure. If it's the sun, it's government. If it's the moon, it's religion. The 2 eyes are the eyes of Horus, who restores the kingdom of his murdered father, who had his kingdom usurped by Satan, King Set, which are Seer, Peter, PTR. This is why I go over all this with you. And so if you're going through a faith crisis, you have a lot of videos to get caught up on so that you don't harden your heart and not believe. Because what you are believing will never happen. How many more centuries will it take before you realize? Oh, you'll be dead by then? Convenient. For the Lord will pass through to smite the Egyptians. With what? Metallica has the answer. Creeping Death. Awesome video. And with the one with Exodus, Gods and Kings, the upgraded version. And when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the 2 sides of the post, the Lord will pass over the door. So what are they doing? They're staying home. Not only do they warn about what is coming during the latter days, they're also telling you the correct medical information, YouTube. I have never told you anything to the contrary. It is YouTube who spreads medical misinformation. And will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you. you shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and thy sons forever, until it is fulfilled. So, let's go over again Joseph Smith and his version of it. Doctrine and Covenants, section 45, where he tells us, I am paraboling for you, just as they did in Scripture. So he's not giving us actual events. He's using code through parable. So when Nelson got up and said, hey, the whistleblower, yeah, he's wrong. We're just following the parable of the talents. You just confessed to tax fraud. Why are they not locking you up? Oh dear God. Parable of the talents uses a talent as money to represent converting souls unto God. But Nelson sort of missed that. And so it's not Jesus, it's not Jerusalem, it's not the Jews, it's not the Jerusalem temple. Those are the talents as the talents for an underlining actual meaning. And Joseph Smith tells us right from the very beginning, hey Mormons, I'm speaking to you. Verse 31. And there shall be men standing in that generation that shall not pass. Passover? Until they shall see an overflowing scourge. For a desolating sickness shall cover the land. America's still number one. It's still defined as a pandemic. After all these months, it's still raging. And YouTube is spreading misinformation about the medical advice, as they think they're the authority on what is the right medical information. We all know exactly why they did what they did to me. But guess what? Joseph Smith also tells us the proper procedure for what we are supposed to do when the latter days come and this desolating sickness comes. My disciples shall stand in holy places and shall not be moved. Stay home to stay safe. Oops. What did Nelson tell you to do? He's a medical doctor. Certainly he would give correct medical information, wouldn't he? Well, he held 2 coronavirus fasts. How did they work? Oops. Well, they got some money out of it. You got to pay fast offerings. Did you remember to pay your fast offerings? You talked about the healing power of Jesus. How did that work? He had the healing power of gratitude. They had an article on the church news or on the website talking about a man who was cured of his illness by going to church. and YouTube won't shut down their channels for violating the 3-strike rule, that they think they're going to come out with clearer details on how it works in January 5th. Yeah. They have no intention of sticking to their own policy, because they're in violation of their own policy as they favor organizations like the church that spread medical misinformation. And the church has the scriptures that warn Mormons of this. Nelson finally came out and confessed, we're in the latter days, but oops, he failed to warn us of this coming, let alone the signs in the heavens. You're not catching on of what Joseph Fielding Smith told us? So the 50th year is the Jubilee year for the Jews. They even have a book of Jubilees. It's where the prisoners go free. As Moses in Deuteronomy says, the man like Moses is going to warn you. And if you do not listen to him, you will die, according to Acts. He will be the one giving the correct medical information to stay home and stay safe, just like the medical professionals did. These are the consequences of what happens when you don't listen to the medical professionals. It's still a pandemic. It didn't pass over. People did not listen from the beginning, and it will go on indefinitely until the last human is alive to breathe, or gets their breath taken. Because that's how it's spread, remember? It's not the flu. And so the marriage supper of the Lamb, it requires a woman, Amonette. The only problem is that there's agency, because they're human. Ammon and Amonette are human, and they're Mormon, coming out of the great and abominable church. He cannot be the King of Kings without her. Can you imagine if she said, nope, not interested? Wow. Oops. And Santa Claus 2. No pressure. You know, kids won't get Christmas. The elves will be unemployed. No pressure. You kind of have to make your decision now, though. No pressure. No pressure at all. At that time, there will be a transfer of authority from the usurper and impostor, Lucifer, to the rightful king. Unless she says no. And if they're, well, yeah, the two of them could be Adam and Eve to start all over again, or Noah to start all over again with his family. There is precedent, and those stories have a basis in reality. There was an actual flood, just not 3000 BCE. Try 10,500 BCE. Canada and McGrath, they're doing some archaeology research, and I've told you this. They confirm the date, 10,500 BCE. So, alrighty, another hour-long video. But again, if you have not had your faith just destroyed, God help us all. But again, I have my other videos. Don't just think you can figure it out on your own, because you won't. You'll go back to this.